Harry's wife desperately deluded. One factor which has become increasingly obvious with Harry's wife is her level of delusion. Naturally, I was aware of this at an early juncture by virtue of identifying that she's a narcissist. But as time has gone on, and more people have observed her behaviours, more people have in effect been fact-checking her behaviours. I've explained previously that there is essentially an army of individuals that are so sick and tired of the bollocks that she talks that they fact-check everything that she says and does against what she's said and done in the past to look for evidence of contradictions, hypocrisy, U-turns, etc. Furthermore, of course, there are those such as Tom Bauer, who have investigated her circumstances, and Valentine Lowe, that have reported on her behaviours which demonstrate the delusions. And of course, they start to pile up, and perhaps things that were once looked at a number of years ago where people thought, bit strange, they revisit and now see, actually, in light of the way that we've seen her behaviour over the last few years, what she said there was another evidence of delusion. Clear examples are, of course, the claim that a member of the Lion King cast told her that South Africa celebrated in the same way as they did when Nelson Mandela was released from prison when she married Harry. The delusions about attending a Korean spa and eating naked noodles with her mother. The delusions that have occurred with regard to the tales about climbing out the back of a motor vehicle, which was character trait acquisition from a Catherine Zeta-Jones advertisement. The repeated differences in history with regard to her childhood. 1 minute she's effectively scraping around the dumpsters for something to eat, and the next that she's eating out at high-end places courtesy of Pa Markle. 1 minute it's salad at Sizzler, the next it's high-end meals. In other instances it's TV dinners and watching Jeopardy. Which one is it? All of them? Well, in the world of Harry's wife it can be, because her level of delusion is such that she believes that it is her reality. This is why so often she talks about my truth. That is her narcissism, not saying, oh, I'm deluded and I operate in my own reality, but it is actually a means of nullifying the threat to control by saying, you accuse me of things which are not true, my truth must be heard because my truth is accurate, my truth is the reality, whereas actually, of course, it is her reality. This level of delusion has been notched up another level with an article that appears in Yahoo Life, written by Mariah Paredes. It states, Kate Middleton will reportedly appear on Harry's wife's podcast. Yes, you heard it here first. According to this, file this under things we weren't expecting. Harry's wife could potentially welcome her most unexpected guest for her Spotify podcast yet, as it's being reported that the Princess of Wales could soon make an appearance. Wow. According to reports, a royal expert said that the Duchess of Sussex, 41, asked her sister-in-law to appear on an Archetypes podcast when she and husband, Prince Harry, 38, were in the UK for the Queen's funeral. While Harry's wife was over here, staying in Windsor at their cottage, she put out a request to the Princess of Wales, according to that good source, to appear in a forthcoming episode of Archetypes. Royal expert, for it is he, Neil Sean, confessed on his YouTube channel. Now, I had analysed this in parts passim when it was mentioned around the time of the funeral, but this article is dated the 26th of November, and therefore we have not only delusion, but bringing up the past. Two aspects of the narcissistic dynamic. You might be thinking, why is this being mentioned again? Well, of course, her narcissism dictates that she has to take certain steps and cause people to report on certain things to keep her in the news. Keeping her in the news allows what? The assertion of control over an audience, the drawing of fuel, and the management of the facade. And if that means bringing up something which is patently not true, and is evidently deluded, and has already been mentioned once, then so be it. Her narcissism is shameless. It operates in a way to ensure that she is always being mentioned, and it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. It doesn't matter if it's horseshit. It doesn't matter if it's absolute nonsense. The point is, if it gets to the prime aims, then so be it. He doesn't care about the consequences. That isn't something the narcissism considers. Harry's wife, the article tells us, has had quite a few A-list guests on her podcast so far, including Mariah Carey, who famously branded her a diva on the show, Serena Williams and Mindy Kaling. But the Princess of Wales 40 would definitely be the most high-profile one yet, with Sean revealing that Harry's wife could be willing to dedicate the entire episode to Kate, rather than have multiple different guests, as is the norm for previous episodes. It kind of makes sense if you think, in Harry's wife's eyes. This is because she based it all on the idea of two duchesses, as they then were at that point. And of course, talking about how difficult it is to run a family, work life and work balance, he continued, going on to say that Harry's wife's team must have felt it was a good idea, ratings-wise, to have the Princess of Wales on the show. Now, as you know from parts passing, Harry's wife regards Catherine as the nemesis. But again, her narcissism is so shameless that somebody that's painted black and is viewed as the enemy can also, like that, be utilised to the benefit of the narcissist. This is why you will see certain narcissists who 1 minute tell you, I hate you, never darken my doorstep again, and then within the hour, they're ringing you up saying, do you fancy hanging out together tonight? I love you, I miss you. And you're thinking, I don't understand. Why are they vacillating from one position to the other? The fact is, this is black and white thinking. And the narcissist does not sit there and think, well, I've treated this person like something on the bottom of my shoe. I've got a brass neck really now, ringing them up and saying, hey, let's get together. That never enters the narcissist's head. The narcissism doesn't allow it. The reset button is pressed. What has gone before is evaporated into the ether and is only brought up if the narcissism dictates that it's appropriate to do so. And thus, the narcissist contacts you, showing considerable brass neck and contacting you to say, hey, how are you? I love you. Let's hang out together. And invariably, of course, that will leave you confused as to what's going on, but not if you listen to my work. Similarly with Harry's wife, even though the chances of Catherine going on the podcast are somewhere between slim to nothing, the fact is that Harry's wife believes that it could happen. She doesn't think to herself, well, she's been expertly advised, and I've been an absolute see you next Tuesday to her, so I haven't a cat in hell's chance of getting her on my show. Rather, she thinks, well, we're in a similar position, and we're both individuals who married into the royal family. We're sisters in that regard. She'll be a great guest to have. She has many interesting things. All of a sudden, she becomes painted white because Harry's wife wants something from her. And thus, somebody who's routinely portrayed as the enemy, painted black, is told lies about, and is the nemesis, suddenly becomes the new best friend. The article continues, we're not quite sure how this was relayed to the beautiful Princess of Wales, but according to Harry's wife, she felt they were progressing. More evidence of delusion. Sean continued, if we recall back with that particular interview, she claimed that she was willing to forgive and move forward. Condescending nature, part of her grandiosity. He added, before going on to say that Harry's wife and her Spotify production team are yet to hear back about it. Although ever the problem solver, Harry's wife understands maybe Catherine could even fit it in when she returns over to the United States later this month for Earthshot. Again, that shows the arrogance of Harry's wife, that Catherine's there to deal with something that her and her husband are focused on, not there to try and fit in helping out Harry's wife. Why would they? Why should they, after the way that she's behaved? But remember, Harry's wife doesn't factor that into the equation. The article continues, the last comment is in reference to the fact that the Prince and Princess of Wales will be in Boston for the Earthshot Prizes Awards on December the 2nd, so the podcast could happen pretty soon. Royal fans in particular, Princess of Wales fans, have urged her not to do the podcast. Commenting on the royal news and politics updates, YouTube video about the news, one fan begged, Catherine, please don't do it, she'll turn on you, while another added, I hope Kate does not do the podcast, no reason to do. Don't believe Kate would stoop as low as Harry's wife, wrote another. I hope Catherine doesn't get pulled into Harry's wife's web. Well, too late for that, she already has. She's part of the fuel matrix, though of course, as a consequence of the advice that she's received, she knows better than to continue to interact with her. Continues saying, she has far more class and intelligence than Harry's wife. That would be tragic for the Princess of Wales. Surely she would decline in her calm and gracious way. Another hoped. Catherine isn't that stupid, she has class, said another. While their husbands might need a little more convincing to end their feud, the Princess of Wales appearing on Harry's wife podcast could be a great way to put their own feud behind them. There have been many reports about the sisters-in-law not seeing eye to eye, with things taking a huge turn for the worse before Prince Harry and Harry's wife's royal wedding in 2018. as the Duchesses had a disagreement over bridesmaid dresses that reportedly left the Duchess of Cambridge in tears. But as great as the podcast could be for their relationship, another royal expert simply doesn't believe it will ever happen. I don't think so, royal correspondent Richard Palmer replied on the Royal Roundup when asked whether he thinks the Princess of Wales will make an appearance. I don't get the impression that there is much of a relationship there between them at the moment. Maybe that will change, but I think the signs are the relations are still pretty strained. And, of course, Harry's wife may well want it put about in order to make her look like she's being conciliatory, to feed that particular narrative that she's the kind one. And of course, this is something that a narcissist would typically do. Having caused all manner of problems for you, they will then essentially extend the hand of friendship and say, let's put it all behind us. And you, if you don't accept, and you would have very good reasons not to do so, why would you want to be friends with someone who's routinely abusing you, are then painted as the awkward one by the narcissist, as you're smeared to people. Well, I wanted to be friends. We've had our difficulties. We haven't seen eye to eye in the past, but, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Or even, well, she'd been nasty to me, but I've been willing to put that all behind us and start anew, but she won't. It just demonstrates that I was right all along about what an awful human being she is. Many of you listening will be familiar with this. There are plenty of comments about this in below the line. Aguilera writes, it would be unwise to agree to any such thing before the Sussex documentary memoir are out, and then, if she wants to do the interview, she should demand control, just as the Sussexes have done in all their projects, as well as record the whole interview herself for her own records. Truth, if the Princess of Wales agrees to an interview with Harry's wife, as they say in England, I will eat my hat. Patricia Wendell, don't you think it's odd that Harry's wife would ask her sister-in-law to be on her show when Harry's wife is not willing to go to the family Christmas as invited? Don't you think it's odd that the family held out the olive branch, which would have given Harry's wife an opportunity to speak with King Charles, but she and Harry chose not to go? Harry's wife's PR team is working overtime to keep her name in the news. Absolutely right. And that individual sees the discrepancy between the evidence of what's gone on and the suggestion of them getting together, and that it's purely a PR device on behalf of Harry's wife for the purposes of getting to the prime aims, as always. Amy writes, I'll take things that will never happen for $500. Alex. Lauren, no way that's going to happen. Not in a million years. Kim, I would be stunned. Sorry, but how could Kate trust Harry's wife to not ask Kate something that she can't answer as Princess of Wales? Harry's wife is free to do or say anything she wants, but Kate doesn't have that same luxury. And, as I would say, in the words of Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. EDR, this would be such a bad idea. Just the biggest case of exploitation. Just the fact that it's generating so much buzz proves my point. I hope this doesn't happen because the only one who benefits from it will be Harry's wife. It makes her look magnanimous, thus enhancing her image. They should at least wait until the book and docuseries come out first so there can be a rebuttal. In any case, it's a long way from being confirmed. Mandy, I would hope not. I think it would make the royals look as cheap as Harry's wife. Dot, why would real royalty help fake royalty? Lydia, laugh out loud. Pamela, she shouldn't do it. Harry's wife nor Harry can be trusted. Lizzo, it'll be the greatest mistake Kate will ever make in her life. Please, Kate, don't do it, because Harry's wife will use it against you. Tia 1974. All Harry's wife's PR pay to lie for her. Not believable, just like the award she was going to receive back in England for men only. With media finding out her cheque for that award bounced, so now she isn't attending. Diane, I doubt this will happen. And it's very much comments all suggesting that either it won't happen or urging Catherine not to go along that line, demonstrating that amongst this article there are no supporters of Harry's wife to be seen. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.